I'm at a loss watching my precious child going through what I went through. I have no advice, but I can hear your heartbreak. She's very fortunate to have loving parents like y'all. This shit sucks, but it sounds like you're showing her by example what type of people she wants in her life and how she deserves to be treated. I would suggest two concurrent steps that will both be counterintuitive. The first is to get counseling for yourself and work on your own experiences around this age. You will be able to be a far better resource for your daughter as you clear the burden of your feelings from when you were treated this way. The second is for you and your daughter to join a martial arts group. Doesn't matter which one, go to the one that is easiest to get to. Bullies look for victims, and yet are physical cowards. They develop a radar for people who are going to be victims. They will, in time, simply decide that bullying her is not in their interest and look elsewhere. I would also, once she gets a little more confident with her skills, let her know that if she punches one of these little shits in the face, in defense of herself or someone else, that you will fully back her up. If she gets suspended from school, be enormously proud of her, and allow her to eat her weight in ice cream. Good kids need explicit permission to return violence with violence, because they are afraid to get in trouble. Bullies don't dare, because they are probably being bullied at home and are seeing their bullies not facing any consequences. Perhaps some of Dr. Russell Barkley's videos, YouTube, or articles, books might offer some insight for yourself. Perhaps more so for your wife. Best wishes on your journey. I wouldn't feel bad about it. I would feel good that this little clique found her intimidating enough to rock their status, where they had to put her down and ostracize her. You said she's well liked and is chatty. Keep being that way. I'm deeply moved by what you and your daughter are going through. Watching someone you love face such painful experiences, especially when they echo your own, is incredibly tough. Your actions in the face of this, trying to uplift her spirits, being there for her, listening to her music, and sharing jokes, show the depth of your love and dedication. It's those moments of joy and understanding that can make a world of difference. Your instinct to protect her, to advise her on how to handle this with a blend of resilience and discretion, speaks volumes about your desire to shield her from further pain. It's a natural response, wanting her to appear unbothered in the hopes of protecting her from being targeted even more. Yet, the complexity of emotions she must be navigating, feeling isolated, betrayed, and singled out, requires a delicate touch. Opening up about your own experiences with ADHD and the challenges you faced can be incredibly powerful. It not only shows her she's not alone, but also that it's possible to navigate this with strength and grace. The empathy and understanding you offer, simply by being present and sharing in her world, are invaluable. The situation with her school and the bullying is concerning, and it's clear you're feeling stuck between wanting to intervene directly and empowering her to find her way through this. It might be helpful to keep communication lines open with her, ensuring she knows she can share anything with you, without fear of judgment or immediate action. Sometimes, just knowing there's a safe space to express oneself fully can be incredibly healing. Regarding the school environment, it might be worth exploring a conversation with the school administration, not necessarily to point fingers but to share your concerns and see if there are support systems in place that could help. Schools often have resources for dealing with bullying that parents might not be aware of. Finding her a community, perhaps outside of school, where she feels accepted and valued for who she is, could also be something to consider. Places where she can engage in activities she loves, with peers who share her interests, might offer her a sense of belonging and validation that's missing from her current school experience. Above all, reinforcing at home the idea that her worth isn't defined by the acceptance or rejection of these peers is crucial. She's clearly a caring, intelligent, and resilient young person, qualities that will serve her well in life, even if they're not recognized by her current classmates. Your love and concern for your daughter shine through every word you've shared. It's evident that you're doing everything within your power to support and protect her. Remember, it's also okay to seek support for yourself during this time. Navigating these waters can be draining, and finding a space where you can express your frustrations, fears, and hopes can be just as important for your well-being as it is for your daughters. In this journey, you're not alone. There are communities, professionals, and resources that can offer support and guidance tailored to the needs of families and individuals facing similar challenges. Your dedication to finding the best path forward for your daughter is a testament to your strength and love as a parent. You are an inspiration, truly. Find other circles that will boost her confidence. Do that with her. Circles which fosters respect and kindness. Karate is something comes to mind. Will provide her with mental and physical strength. Speak to the teachers about what's happening to her and they will know what to do. Kids are awful. She has great parents though. I wish I had advice, but she should be herself and will find some kids who aren't terrible little shits. Sounds like you're already doing a great job. My only advice is to teach her how to involve other kids in the conversation. Nothing wrong with talking a lot, but it's a great skill to be able to involve others in conversations that are seemingly one-sided. Having the presence of mind to shift the focus of the conversation and attention to someone else is really important. Also, to pull from a bit of our stoicism, let her know that she and the rest of us just have to do what we think is best. We can't get too caught up in how others think or feel. We can only control our own actions. Find friends with ADHD or awareness of it. I get wanting the better school, but as someone who went through that at private school, public schools have more kids and more groups to choose from. I'd have rather moved schools again than been bullied for all those years. It's worth discussing. I'm so sorry your daughter is having such a difficult time. Her story sounds almost identical to my granddaughter's story. My granddaughter is also 11 years old. She has yet to be diagnosed, but we highly suspect she has ADHD. My daughter also has ADHD. She is looking at possibly moving her schools, but would prefer to wait until September. It is so incredibly hard to watch them be ostracized, hating school, being a target and having no real friends. We see just how wonderful they are, how kind, thoughtful, smart and helpful they are, but some of these kids are so damn mean. It's so hurtful. My granddaughter always loved school, had a big group of friends, but in the last year she has realized that she can no longer tolerate their behavior. She finds kids her age to be quite toxic. She has distanced herself to the point of not having any friends. All we can do is help to guide them as much as possible and help them navigate these tough times. Have you spoken to her teacher? They see a lot of what transpires in the classroom and at recess. It's also a good idea for the teacher to pay closer attention in case she is being bullied. I am sorry you are so pathetically passive-aggressive. You did not have the guts to face me instead of playing stupid pranks. Words to say to the bullying clique. She does have one friend, the person who routed them out. Probably also neurodivergent and zero patience for the games. If you chose the charter school because of her ADHD, me too on that, F60, then likely there are others, and as you know, we do relate best with our own kind. What is considered a social disability is a tendency to brash honesty and none of the catty backstabbing lies that the mean girls go for. I bet if the school allowed her to start a club for all the ADHD and other neurodivergent kids, to support each other and do the sort of things we like best, she can be the center as leader and get more friends she can relate to. People need to find their tribe of like minds. That process is lifelong. My attitude toward rejection-sensitive dysphoria, you both have it, Look it up is to see rejection is navigation. It keeps you moving until you find the place you really belong, stops you from the people-pleasing stuff, trying to sand down the square corners to fit into somebody's pigeonhole. The Mean Girls did her a life lesson, the sort of people to not be friends with. Imagine if she stayed with that clique and became a mean girl too? Instead, there's an opportunity to talk about ethics, what friendship means, and to not expect the whole world to love you, but be glad of those who do. It is a Saturday night. All over the world there are millions of parties I did not get invited to, and so what? I am in a comfy bathrobe in a nice recliner, enjoying Reddit with my little dog while downstairs in the man cave it is hockey night in Canada. Happy. She needs to find out what really makes her happy, and that will grow confidence and the neediness will fade, and others who share the interest will be drawn in. In the words of the great Jordan Peterson, never let your kids do anything that makes you not like them. You want your kids to behave in a way where other kids want to play with them. Obviously, there are exceptions to the other kids wanting to play with your kid part and the former. These kids sound like the typical immature, bored, passive-aggressive type. But that doesn't mean they aren't sharing valuable information either. Since you said your daughter can talk for hours, assuming she is not proficient in particle physics or some other intense discipline, try to nudge her to be a better listener. The book How to Win Friends and Influence People comes to mind. Hint, hint. Help her to learn ways, not obsess as, to not need the approval from others while still being mindful how others are perceiving her. It's not about making changes in her life to vie for their approval and try to win them back, but to help with her own self-development and awareness that will pay dividends throughout the rest of her life. Take the constructive criticism that even the younger kids are giving and try your best to get her to apply it without it seeming too overt. Take her to a place where talking isn't really encouraged, the movies, museum, library. Help her to feel calm. Make sure she is exercising daily and getting great nutrition and simply cover the basics if need be. / Give her some good books to expend all her pent-up energy. As for the ADHD piece, I've had ADHD for my entire life and am only now starting to be able to maneuver and fight the impulses that have guided so much of my life. It started with having clear goals, taking care of my nutrition, exercise, coming off of caffeine, getting good sleep, and reevaluating how I perform each day and pushing myself to be better. The exercise piece in my strong opinion is one of the most important for really offsetting the symptoms once all the other basics have been taken care of. Highly oxygenated blood to the brain and all the extra energy ADHD people have requires high amounts of exercise to combat it. I look at it as like the real medicine for people with ADD/ADHD. Another doctor described ADHD perfectly. It's not a genetic trait. It was developed at some point in life, usually early on, as a defense mechanism to cope with trauma. Instead of being able to fight or flight in a given situation where one has to endure trauma, the only other option is to allow the brain to tune out per se. This tuning out is something the brain does to cope from exposure to high amounts of stress. Being calm, cool, and collected, as they say, is one of the keys that many ADHD people, including myself, struggle with constantly. We go on autopilot and forget what is going on around us. Then we start to miss important parts of life that will affect us for better or worse. So in your example, when your daughter is talking for hours, it is a form of tuning out. She's creating her own world instead of living in the current world she is in. This might be good for some things like writing or coming up with creative stories, but interacting with others, this is not very helpful since most people are only interested in themselves. I relate so hard. I'm 21, ADHD too, got diagnosed last year. Won't go into details but have been going through much of the same shit since I joined college. Don't know how to deal with it either. I suspect it has something to do with how chatty I am too when I get excited. Even if her peers reject her, it is extremely important for her to know that her parents will love and accept her, including the traits of ADHD that can be frustrating or difficult for others to love. Knowing that people can love and unconditionally accept all parts of her personality will do her worlds of good in terms of development and self-image. It sounds like you are already embodying this, but be sure to communicate this to her as clearly and frequently as you can. Children with ADHD are exposed to a ridiculous amount of negative comments about themselves compared to typical children, and it can be so harmful. Try to balance the scales. It sounds like your wife may benefit from more understanding about your daughter's struggles. Feeling rejected by your peers is awful, but feeling rejected by the entire world including her parents can make things much harder, as it could lead her to rejecting and suppressing her authentic self. I'm glad you are getting her professional help, but ensure that she's not receiving messages that she is broken or something to be fixed. She is just different, a normal zebra, not a defective horse, and the world can sadly be intolerant. Neurodivergent girls unfortunately tend to struggle socially much more around middle school, as tweens start to develop more complex social worlds. Neurotypical girls at this age go through particularly vicious mean girl phases, and well-intentioned neurodivergent girls are easy targets. Is there any way you could find a support or social group where she could interact with other neurodivergent tweens? Or an unofficial setting where she could interact with them? She might encounter more understanding and like-mindedness. It is also always beneficial to support ND children in their interests, be it robotics or furry art. This can also help her socialize. Forming friendships around common interests seems to be a good success strategy. My parents took me to a lot of anime comic cons at that age, and it helped my self-esteem more than you might think. I would get a few days around other nerds of all ages, and I felt real acceptance there. I feel for you in your daughter's pain. I hope she can find a supportive and open-minded environment where she is free to be herself. Pink Heart.